All right, so I guess now we can kind of round this out with the final installment. Latest installment. I don't know that it'll be the final one, but yeah, I guess let's start talking about the Arkham Knight.
How could it not be? Like, I feel like if they make another game, they either have to go. It's either going to be a reboot, or it's going to maybe be some side story. Because this
Yeah.
game, I feel like in terms of, spoilers for this 5-year-old game, but it really is the end of Bruce Wayne being Batman.
Yeah, so I guess first things first, this is probably I kind of like it the same as Asylum. Like I don't know that I could put it above or below just because you can do all the things you can do in City and more,
Mm-hmm.
but it has like a couple of missteps story wise and
Yeah.
just structure wise. But other than that, it's still a very very fun game, and they even add things that weren't in City. So it's really good in that regard. But then it's just like it might have worked better as a more contained story.
Yeah, I think the story is all over the place.
Yeah,
It tries to do a lot of things. Like it feels like Rocksteady for them. It's like this is our trilogy. We're gonna wrap it up, but they had a lot of loose ends they wanted to tie in. So you have the big story with Scarecrow. You have the stuff with Batman and the Joker,
yeah,
which we'll get into. And I feel like we have to address the big elephant in the room with this game, or the big
Batmobile in the room.
yep.
So if I'm going to be perfectly honest, I actually enjoyed some of the like a decent amount of the Batmobile. I wasn't a fan of the tank mode.
No.
Or any of the tank sequences. One's because like I mentioned, I always play it on hard, so like they were just ridiculously annoying, and like it got to a point where it's like I don't want to get better at this because I hope
No.
that I don't have to do this. And there was so many I guess there were so many walls like story wise where you couldn't progress in the story until you completed this ridiculously hard tank situation where
Yeah.
you're surrounded by like 12 to 20 unmanned tanks,
Yeah.
which is
Batman
kind
and kill.
which is kind of ridiculous. It's like okay, all right, let's nobody has this is an army. This is an army of tanks. Like why it's kind of ridiculous.
I like that you can, when you traverse the city in the Batmobile, you can completely mow down people, but no, they
Yeah.
get shocked. So it's like, nope, like
Yeah.
he shocks them and they fly out of the way.
fly
He didn't
off.
kill them.
But yeah, again, like I like it when it's in I really enjoy it when it's in car mode.
Yeah, the traverse, I feel like the thing is like the Batmobile is the next logical step.
Yeah.
And I think on paper it sounds great, and it is great to some extent. It's great because when you found out the Batmobiles in the game, it's like, oh, this is fun. But I also feel like traversing the city using the gliding techniques is so satisfying.
Yeah.
But it's still fun to drive around the city in the Batmobile. I think the one point you brought up, obviously, is the tank combat gets old really quick.
Yeah.
And it's very repetitive.
It's
And it's in the game a
overused.
lot.
It's so overused.
And the game just speaks to a bigger point that the game shoves the Batmobile down your throat. It's like, we took the time to make this fucking thing.
Yeah.
You're going to play it. Like,
See,
everywhere.
I wouldn't have minded that, like, if there was, like, more racetrack sequences or, like, I loved, like, the best thing to do was to, like, be driving in the Batmobile and, like, you're going, like, as fast as it can go and you shoot yourself out of it. And, like, it's, like, you're no longer Batman at that. Like, you're Superman. 'Cause
Yeah.
you are flying through the air. And it's like, wow, I am really moving here. And, like, I even like when you're, like, gliding and you dive all the way to the ground. And like you press that button to make the Batmobile come, and like you hit the ground, and then you hop up into the Batmobile, and it's just really seamless. I'm like, that's just like a really well done.
It's a lot of fun,
mechanic.
and the game is a lot bigger, too, because I feel like in Origins you have a full Gotham City, but it doesn't really look like a lot of attention to detail was put in.
Yeah,
Whereas in this game, you have that big Gotham City, but they did the homework.
yeah,
Like,
they have their polish too, and it's like, and we didn't mention this before with either like City or Asylum, but and like we've mentioned this like just talking in general. like there's so many parts of it where it feels like they had like specific teams that were designed to like design parts of Gotham where like there was parts that had their own little personality. Like you could just be wandering off, like not doing the story, just kind of messing around the city, and you see something that's kind of interesting, and then like there's like a whole story here. It's not like this corner looks like, you know, this corner on the other side of town. Like no, like this is a very unique part of the city, and it's very aesthetically pleasing, and it feels like it has its own personality. It's like there's different graffiti over here that's not like anywhere else, and like there's a little bit of a story here, and then like sometimes it leads to really interesting side missions and villains you weren't expecting to be in the game.
The side missions in the game are really good because I feel like, you know, once again with the story of this game, there's no Scarecrow in Arkham City. In this game, he comes back because, you know, once again you're going through a deserted city with just police officers and goons still left, but it makes more sense this time, whereas in Arkham Origins it's like everybody stay inside, like don't go out there. In this game, the beginning sequence, which is amazing, it's in a first person perspective, you're playing as a cop and you go into a diner where the Scarecrow lets out a particularly potent brand of fear toxin. And as the cop, you end up shooting these demons, which end up being citizens of Gotham. So he tells them, like, get out of the city. So all citizens of Gotham evacuate the city, or else I'm going to do this more.
Yeah, because and it's kind of like a follow up from what happens to him in Asylum. Because at the end of the killer, or I don't know if it's at the Killer Croc fight or like you're fighting Scarecrow, and then I think Killer Croc is trying to get you, and you kind of feed Scarecrow to him. Yeah. And so he's like really messed up and deformed.
Oh, yeah.
So
he looks scary.
Yeah, he looks horrifying in this game. You're like, oh my God. So like he has so it's like it's really personal. Like almost like more personal than it would be with the Joker. Like because he was like, you tried to like kill me, man.
He also succeeds in his plot.
Yeah, his bomb goes off.
His plot also is like, I'm gonna unmask you.
Yeah,
he does it.
He does it. He unmasks you. Like this game, I think. Like whereas Arkham City kind of like pushed the limits without outstaying its welcome. Yeah. This game kind of leaned into it too much. Where it's like, all right, you have like you have too many main villains in this game, like because the game is called Arkham Knight, and the Arkham Knight is a character that is like a villain in the game. You're like, who is he? It's everybody knows who he is. And then it's the Scarecrow, which is honestly what everyone wanted. Like everybody's biggest complaint about City was that there was no more Scarecrow sequences because it was a standout from the Asylum games. Yeah. So like, and in this game they didn't really bring them back in the same way, but they kind of turned them into something else entirely. Yeah. Which was really effective story-wise because they like it was like there's that scene where like you're walking around as like Bruce Wayne, or not Bruce Wayne, you're walking around as Batman, and then you turn into Bruce Wayne, and then you turn into young Bruce Wayne, and then you stumble upon your parents' crime scene, and you're like, "Oh my God." And then like there's that one scene when you're in the morgue and like the bodies are moving, and like because you're deeply infected with his fear toxin, and like they have the whole Joker subplot where like his blood is still in you.
Oh my God, ridiculous! But it works.
Yeah, it works because like it's a reason to keep Mark Hamill there, and there's a lot of jump scares in this game.
Oh yeah!
Oh my God!
With the Man Bat and the Joker. Yeah. Between the two of them, when you just randomly grab onto a ledge and they're like, "Boo!"
Yeah.
Like, oh my God!
Like my heart jumped out of my chest. So many. But like they made this game mature because there's so much dark imagery in it, and like they don't overdo it. Like they don't just have like people getting mutilated or like heads getting chopped off, and like it's just the way like they decided like they needed it to tell like a darker story. It barely
crosses the threshold of an M-rated game.
Yeah, like they wanted to tell like the whole, like
it's not like in this game Batman says fuck.
Yeah, like they wanted to show the death of the second Robin, and like they did it in a really effective way, and they even show, don't they show like how Barbara Gordon gets paralyzed? Yeah, like
where the Joker shoots her, then takes pictures.
Yeah,
so it's like a little callback to the Killing Joke.
Mm-hmm. Like they tie in a lot of comics, and like I get like that's really cool and effective, and it was really like powerful when it happened. But at the same time, like you mentioned, how you respected Asylum so much for like it was its own thing. Like it wasn't like it didn't have to do the storylines of comic books, and I felt like Arkham Knight decided that it all of a sudden had to do that
Yeah,
with
like
certain aspects.
with the Arkham Knight himself as the character, because in the lead up to the game, there was a lot of mystery of who he could be.
Mm-hmm.
And the moment you encounter him in the game, if you are a Batman fan, you're like, it's Jason Todd.
Yeah.
Because I was talking about this to you the other day, where I think about movies like Star Trek Into Darkness and the last James Bond movie, Spectre, where like you have in the second one, the main villain for Into Darkness is Khan.
Yeah.
But I feel like a character like Khan is something you know if you're a Star Trek fan, but for a casual person going to see the movie, that's going to be lost on you because you're like, it's not like, I feel like if you don't know a lot about Star Wars, you know who Darth Vader is.
Yeah.
And if you like, even with Batman, you may not know a lot about Batman or superheroes, but you probably know who the Joker or Lex Luthor are. If you're not like a big Harry Potter fan, you know who Voldemort is.
Yeah.
So I feel like in the lead up to that movie, it was this whole thing like, oh, no, Benedict Cumberbatch is not Khan. And Star Trek fans are like, really? Because it seems like he's Khan. And for other people who don't know about Star Trek, they're like, I don't know.
Yeah.
And then when you see the movie and like they have that reveal of like, I'm Khan, like they're expecting everyone to be like, oh my God, it's Khan.
Oh
when
my,
really,
oh my God, they did it.
yeah. When really, like, if you're a Star Trek fan, you're like, yeah, no shit. Like, of course it is. Like, he seems a lot like that character. And it's the same thing in Spectre, where it's like Christoph Waltz, he's not Blofeld, but it's like, I'm Blofeld. And it's like, for people who are fans of those movies or that TV show, it's like, yeah. And then for people who are not fans, who don't know who Blofeld or Khan is, it's like, okay. Like, I don't know who these characters are, so this reveal means nothing to me. And in this game, like, Jason Todd is kind of deep Batman lore. So if you don't know who he is, in the Batman comic universe, the first Robin's Dick Grayson, grows out of the role, becomes Nightwing. And then the second Robin is Jason Todd. And in the comics, Jason Todd gets killed by the Joker and stayed dead for a long time. In the comics, it was like a, basically to Batman was like a symbol of his failure.
Yeah.
To be like, this is what happens like when I drag other people into my fight, they get hurt or killed. But because comic books, Jason Todd is alive again.
Yeah.
So in this game, like the moment you meet him, he seems to know a lot about you and seems to have a long history with you. So it's like, it seems a lot like it's Jason Todd because it seems to be a person who's bitter at you and someone that you trained personally. And then as soon as the Joker stuff happens, you're like, yeah, it's like the moment they showed the Joker killing quote unquote Jason Todd, it's like, yeah, it's Jason Todd.
Yeah. And then, but there was also like, if you ever died while you were trying to like fight the Dark Knight's, or not the Dark Knight, the Arkham Knight's troops in particular, like there was one of the that was always the cool thing about the Arkham games is when like you died trying to like fight a particular villain, like the game over screen
over you
was
and they taunt you.
Yeah, it was them taunting you. So like one of the things that they had for him was like he was like, look at me when you die, Batman. I'm like, that's Jason Todd, bro. Like,
I think he knows your name too.
Yeah.
So it's like there's not many people who know I'm Batman.
Yeah.
He does, and I mean, maybe you can excuse it by Bruce thinking that he's dead.
Yeah.
And then he finds out because the Robin in this game and in Arkham City is Tim Drake.
Yeah.
So it's like he's kind of angry about the fact, like, oh, so you found another Robin.
Yeah.
Well, screw you, Batman. Like, so I guess there is a motivation for him to be pissed at Batman.
But at the same time, the one of the things that makes the Arkham, not the Arkham, but the Red Hood story interesting is like Jason Todd's like not, like he's not mad at Batman for like letting him die. Like he's mad at Batman for still allowing the Joker to live after what he did to him. But the Joker's already dead, so why are you mad, bro?
Yeah, like the Joker's dead. So
like baby, I kind of killed him. Like, you know what I mean? So like,
I let him die.
Why are you mad? Like, why are you mad?
Well, I think because I mean, in the comics, it was like when they brought him back, the Red Hood was initially more villainous, whereas like now he's basically an anti-hero.
Yeah, because people like the character so much.
Because at the end of this game, too, he more or less becomes an anti-hero and kind of helps you out at the end. Because to get into the Joker stuff, so I think it's such a on the surface level, it's such a stupid thing.
Yeah.
But it works because the way so the Joker is dead in the game. Like he hasn't come back to life or anything. Like he's dead, but one of the plot points in Arkham City is that he sends his blood out to hospitals. He puts some of his blood into you.
Mm-hmm.
And I liked that device in that game just because he infected you and potentially other people with this disease. But I guess you find out that Joker has magic blood.
Yeah.
That if he infects you with it, you slowly turn into... I can buy you slowly turning into the Joker, maybe physically and going insane. But it seems like his consciousness manifests itself into these people as well, because like in the game the Joker's in your head and he's clearly in the head of these other people that he's infected, and Batman being Batman has told nobody about this. He's keeping these people,
he's just keeping these people against their will,
quarantined in these cells. But the stuff, but like it sounds so stupid, but I excuse it because the parts with the Joker in your head interacting with you, because now he knows you're Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
He knows all about you. He knows all your deepest, darkest secrets. It works so well. Because it's nice to see Mark Hamill back in the game, because they definitely hid the fact that he was coming back.
Yeah, because like he's in like a lot of it, like a lot. He
is, and it's some of the best parts of the game is when you're interacting with him.
Yeah, and like there's this one part where the Scarecrow makes you think that like Barbara Gordon kills herself, and because the Joker's in your head, like the thing he does, where it's like Barbara Gordon's in this bulletproof glass that you can't get through, and like she's freaking out because she's infected by the toxin, and she's like, oh my god, no, I can't do this anymore, and she puts like a gun to her head, and like right as it happens, like the Joker stands in front of her and pretends like he does like a gun with his hands, and then like it shows the flash behind him, so like you see that she did it. Yeah. And then like he acts like he falls to the ground or whatever. And like it's so well done. Yeah. That I'm just like, oh my god.
It's a powerful moment. Like this is a game that, despite the flaws of the story and kind of the hokiness of some of it, there are very powerful moments in this game.
Yeah, like I think in the first act, like Batman's ready to just, because like he's trying to diffuse this machine that's going to release the toxin, and the whole time he's infecting himself, and Albert's like Bruce, you have to get out of there. He was like no, I'm ready to die for this. He was like, but if you die, there's no one to stop him. He was like, goodbye, Alfred. And it's like, oh my god.
Well, I like in your initial encounter with the Scarecrow, because it's like what I guess activates the Joker in your head. Like I think the subtext of it is like, you know, Batman's biggest fear in a way is the Joker, or maybe him coming back in some way, shape, or form. So it's implied in the game that the mixture of Joker's blood and this particular toxin that the Scarecrow is using is making him come out more and more in your head, because the Joker's ultimate endgame is to take over your mind and basically be a Batman Joker, where it's like you're as unstoppable and powerful as Batman with the mind of the Joker. And there's actually a really great sequence when you encounter Scarecrow and the Joker kind of intervenes in your head, and there's like all these Jokers around you. You have like a gun up to him. Yeah. And it's Joker basically being like, come on, kill him. Yeah. Like, do it. And like I like that part where he's like creepy, going like, good. And then like you pull the trigger on it. So it's like the Joker is fully in your head. Whereas like in Arkham City, you're slowly dying of a disease. In Arkham Knight, the Joker is slowly taking over your head.
Yeah, and then even that sequence like towards the end when like you finally like defeat him in your mind, like again what that game does with just like imagery, where you're walking down this hallway and you walk into this room and you look in one corner and then you turn and the room has changed, and it's like, how did they do that? Like that is so like, it's so like they could do more than this game. Like there's so many things where I was like, you guys are limiting yours, like limiting is kind of funny because how good these games turned out, but like it seems like they could do like really interesting things in general with any kind of like gameplay concept, because like that was a first person view, and it like, because when you're in your own head, you're in first person view as the Joker. Yeah. So you're the Joker trying to get rid of Batman so you could take over his body, and then you get to experience what it's like to be one of the villains and dealing with a Batman sneaking around.
Yeah.
And like I thought that was really cool.
Or I like how the very beginning, like you basically kill off every other Batman villain.
Yeah.
Like you kill the Riddler, you kill Penguin, you kill Two-Face,
You kill Killer Croc
yeah,
with your car, your crazy ridiculous car.
Like I like that scene because in the other Batman games, there's always a big boss fight at the end, and that's like the one few games where it's more of just like a thematic finale. Like,
yeah,
because that's, I guess, technically the end of the game, kind of.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because it kind of steals the thunder away from the Scarecrow a little bit.
Oh yeah.
And like, yeah, I guess that's always been my biggest complaint with the game is like people were really excited about the scare. Like I remember the first trailer that they showed for the game, and it was like a gameplay trailer.
Yeah.
And then like they were literally just showing what you could do with the Batmobile and like the new gameplay mechanics and like how like the graphics look so good because like you come out of like Wayne Tower and of course he has a bat suit there. But then
Lex Luthor is one of the voicemails.
Yeah, he is.
That's a pretty cool thing when there's different voicemails being left, and one of the people who leaves you a voicemail is Lex Luthor.
And he's kind of just like, "Hey, man, like, how come you don't return any of my calls?" And
yeah,
it's pretty funny. But then, like, yeah, so like they're showing that trailer, and it's like just you infiltrating Penguin's hideout or whatever. But then, like, again, they do that thing where it looks like the game breaks, and it's just like making this crow sound. It's like and then like it. And then it just shows Scarecrow sitting in a chair in like a dark room, and like everyone's just going nuts because it's like, oh, he looks crazy.
And he looks so creepy.
Like he looks so menacing. He's got like a half broken like gas mask on his face, and
he's got like it almost looks like he's like a skeleton.
Yeah, because he's like completely scarred and he almost looks burnt, and yeah, like he was just really menacing and terrifying. And then like whoever the voice actor they got, like the way he's delivering those lines
sounds very different from Mark. Because like actually, that was the one thing I like is that the voice of Commissioner Gordon in the game is Mike from Breaking Bad.
Really?
Yeah,
that's great.
Jonathan Banks.
That's awesome.
Because like his whole goal in it is that like he says he's going to end you, so you find out his ultimate goal is that he wants to unmask you. So he puts you in a situation where it's like he has Robin and Commissioner Gordon, because at that point in the game, I think you're still under the assumption that Oracle or Barbara Gordon's dead.
Yeah.
So he's like, come here, like leave your utility belt and everything behind, or I'm going to kill them.
Yeah.
So Batman complies. He gets hooked up or chained up to this thing. It's kind of like a nice callback to Arkham Asylum as you're being wheeled in on this like standing thing. And the Scarecrow unmasks you.
Oh yeah, and he has like a live television broadcast.
So now everybody in the world knows that you're Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
And then that whole sequence with the Joker happens, and then once you kind of conquer your fear, because like your biggest fear is the Joker, and I like how in that sequence you find out the Joker's biggest fear, which is being forgotten.
Yeah. And
Batman's basically like, I'm the only person that really has any memory of you right now, and I'm going to lock you away. Like you get your big final beatdown of Joker in your head.
Yep.
And then you lock him away, and then you kind of come to consciousness, and then the Scarecrow keeps trying to infect you with fear toxin. Batman's like, yeah, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not afraid of you.
Yeah, like, and that was, and then, yeah, like, and then they do that thing that they always do with Scarecrow, but again, it's done really well, where, like, you then turn the fear toxin on him.
Yep.
And then he's horrified. And then, like, there's even that, like, the cop gets, like, eventually, like, the cops, you know, handcuff him. He's like, hey, man, you're really scared. What's going on?
Because I like how it's, like, for all of, like, the taunting and stuff that the Scarecrow does in the game, you find out then that his biggest fear is you.
Yep, yeah. Like, it's, like, again, like, there's a lot of really good stuff in the game, but it was definitely bloated with villains. People complained about the boss fights, but again, like, I liked how some of the boss fights were done. Like, I liked that I liked that Penguin didn't have a life bar. It did feel a little redundant with Penguin and Two-Face, because it was like, you guys have taken over Gotham City, and your big plan, like Scarecrow's big thing is like, Two-Face's big thing is that I'm gonna rob banks, and it's like, do you need to rob them? Like, who's guarding them? Like,
who's stopping you?
Yeah, and then like
Batman, I guess.
Yeah, and then
Nightwing.
And Penguin's thing is like, I'm gonna steal like weapons, and it's like, okay.
So, two gameplay choices I didn't like in the game. One being is that Because I know you mentioned the fear monitor thing before.
Yeah.
I feel like the Predator maps in this game are a lot easier.
Yeah.
It feels like they're a lot simpler to do, and like while I like the fear thing, it's really cool.
It
But
makes
also,
you so overpowered.
it does. It makes it feel like, hey, are you sick of this Predator section? Do you want to just end it?
Yeah.
Just do this, and it'll be done.
Or yeah, so I guess I can get back to the thing I was saying before, but yeah, like there's this one section where you have, like, again, like there's like these 6 guys in a room. You're on the other side of the wall, and you put the explosive gel on the wall, and you do the fear takedown, and you can, like, you start off like only being able to take down 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, and at this point you can take down 3 guys, and then there's like there's 4 more guys in the room. So like I remember I put the gel on. I went under the grate, and I'm in the room with them just under the floor, and I do the fear takedown, and I do all 3, and like again it's like everything's in slow motion because you're supposed to be moving really fast, and at the same time you're terrifying the other guys in the room who are seeing it, so they're like, oh my god, what's happening?
Yeah.
And then right as they see me and I'm about to shoot, I press the button and the wall explodes behind them, and like the camera like centered around my body.
Yeah.
And you like Batman's just like in this pose, like he's holding like one guy's head down and presses the button, and it's just like smoke covering his body. I'm like, this is the most cinematic, coolest thing I've ever done in a video game.
I mean, I guess the one excuse is that like it's peak Batman in this game.
Yeah.
Like you're like the best you've ever been.
Yeah.
So I feel like, any of these goons, they're just putty.
And I do like the Poison Ivy stuff a lot better in this game.
She sacrifices herself.
Yeah, like I thought that was
off.
really interesting. I was like, this is nuts.
But she dies for the greater good. Like she dies a hero.
Yeah.
Kind of, which I thought was pretty interesting.
Like she dies a hero, and then like her essence essentially like rains down on the city, and kind of like, and again you're using like a natural thing to take care of like a chemically engineered thing.
Well, I guess it's
like that was a really interesting concept
because she like is aware of the plot against you, but decides not to take part in it. So she's not really a villain in this game.
Yeah,
because I feel like, with a lot of the villains, like you mentioned the Penguin and Two-Face before, they're not really involved in the main story. There's a lot of side quests in this game.
Yeah.
Because, like, the Penguin and Two-Face are relegated to being side missions.
Yeah, they have no, like, hold on the main story.
Because I think about, like, the other thing, too, is that, in the last game, you had the ability to play as Catwoman through significant portions of the game, whereas in this game, Catwoman is tied to the Riddler trophies, so you really don't get to play as her at all, like a little bit.
Yeah.
Because the other thing in this game is that, it was like you can play as Robin and as Nightwing very briefly and only during combat sequences.
And which was unfortunate because those sequences were really well done when you were doing them, because they introduced the whole team gameplay where you switch back and forth and you have these really awesome team takedowns, and like they're really dynamic in the way that you can do them, and if there's larger opponents they have to be taken down in a different way, and like that felt really, really cool. But yeah, then again, like as soon as you're done, it's like, all right, see ya. It's like, oh, you're just gonna stay in this room in this building right here?
Yeah.
All right, see you later.
Or it's like, because I feel like Nightwing is tied to the Penguin side quest. So it's like, find more weapons, Nightwing. I could probably use your help, but because I'm Batman, I'm going to be paying the butt about it and be like, no, don't want your help.
Yeah.
And that was disappointing to me because I feel like in the main story of Arkham City, Robin makes like a cameo. Whereas in this game, Robin's actually a pretty significant part of the story, but you really only get to play as him during the combat sequences. And like Nightwing, who is not a part of the story at all in Arkham City, is only a part of the Penguin missions, and Catwoman is only a part of the Riddler stuff.
Yeah.
But I do, because the thing with this game is that, it's technically the ending, I suppose, once that whole Joker sequence is completed, but the real, because the thing I like is that after that, though, everybody knows you're Batman, so when you're doing other side missions afterwards, you're interacting with people, like, now they know. So it's interesting to talk to, because I like how in the game, when you complete a side mission, you have to take the person to jail. Yeah. So you have all of these Batman villains in jail, and like now they all know you're Bruce Wayne, and some of them are like, I can't believe it, or like, because like Harvey Dent knew who you were. Yeah. Before, because like, when most of them, like, they might know you on a superficial level by like the fact that it's like you were friends with Harvey Dent, or like you have Hushes in the game too, because they kind of they had a mission with Hush in Arkham City that kind of pays off in this game. And then the other one, too, is Azrael, who we forgot, who is in Arkham City. That he's in this game as a possible successor to Batman. And there's actually a choice you can make as Azrael to be good or bad. And if you're bad, you take him to jail. But if you're good, then I guess he gets away.
Yeah. Well, then there's what's the one thing? I think like when all the villains know who you are, I think the Riddler is like, oh yeah, I knew it.
Yeah,
like, no, you.
Like I knew it the whole time. But that's the thing I like though, is that the game actually gives you an incentive to 100% complete it, because that's the only way you get the true ending of the game.
Yeah.
The one final thing I'm gonna say though before getting into the ending is that Deathstroke is in the game. Yeah. And he's like the best boss fight in all of Arkham Origins. Yeah. And he would be an amazing boss fight in this one. But in this game, you fight him in a big tank. And it is the most, like, are you kidding me? Yeah. Like, that would have been such a cool boss fight to have. Amazing, I fight him in a big tank and then bring him to jail.
Yeah. And it's like the most formidable like foe I could have. Like, somebody who can match me in skill, and he has all this weaponry. And I'm gonna fight him in a tank. Mm-hmm. That's like this is dumb.
Well, then if you 100% complete the game, then you go to Operation Nightfall. So like I like how in the game it's like, okay, I did it. Gotham City's safe. All the bad guys are put away. So he goes back home. There's a bunch of reporters outside Wayne Manor, like they're gonna be like, so you're Batman. And then as soon as you land in Wayne Manor explodes. Yeah. And maybe possibly on the outside, people can think it's, obviously there's a ton of people who will want to get back at Batman or Bruce Wayne for being Batman. So the assumption at the end of the game is that Batman is dead. And you don't really know what happens to him. And it flashes forward to, I think, like a year later where, Barbara Gordon and Tim Drake are getting married. And Commissioner Gordon's running for mayor of Gotham City. And we see a crime similar to what happened to Bruce Wayne initially, of his parents being killed by a mugger. Only this time it's stopped by what looks like a Batman Beyond kind of, but with Scarecrow's fear toxin. And then the game ends. Yeah,
it's like, a lot of people say it's like, oh, it's the Nightmare Batman. Because I think it's an unlockable costume. And yeah, it's and like they even say they call it the Nightmare Batman costume or something. So I don't. Like, I'm pretty sure they wanted to leave it ambiguous because like people have asked like, what was that? What does that mean? And they're like,
which I feel like I don't know. Like I kind of like, because you think about the Dark Knight Rises movie where it's like a very similar situation where we're left to the assumption that Batman died saving Gotham, but then at the end of the movie you find out no, he just moved to France with Catwoman. Yeah. And then in this game. Because, like, even, like, they hint at the romance between the two of them. And he's like, nope, I'm leaving. And she's like, call me. He's like, I won't. And it's like, okay,
and it's like, well, why? Like, you're not going to be Batman anymore.
Take me with you.
Yeah.
So they leave it vague. But, I mean, Batman keeps talking about in the game after people find out who he is. It's like, no, like, they need something more than Batman. They need Batman with fear toxin. So it's like, the game definitely closes the Arkham trilogy, so I feel like a game beyond it would have to, because I know that there was talk of a sequel that's being centered around Damian Wayne, your comic book son, who I hate, being Batman. But because the one final thing I'd mention with this game too is that there is a lot of DLC for it.
Yeah, so we can kind of get into that, and we can kind of get into the real reason people hated this game is there was, if I'm not mistaken, I believe there was a $100 season pass.
Yeah.
And the game itself was $60. So
they got greedy.
There was like the DLC was worth more than the game, which is absurd to me. Like, granted, games have done much worse than that at this point, but I mean, that's still very much like kind of, and it was like they knew, like it's not like they added it on after, like it was before the game came out. They're like, yeah, get this $100 season pass, and it's just like, I mean, why? Like, why? Why is it so much? And I understand that you need to like pay for it and all that. Don't give it to me. I don't want it.
Yeah,
I don't care.
because the story content, with the exception, there's one sizable like. So with the DLC, if I remember, they add 3 side missions to the game that put Mr. Freeze, Killer Croc, and Ra's al Ghul into the game because they're not in it other than that. But the downloadable content includes that. It just adds itself into like the side missions of the story.
Yeah. Then all of a sudden there's like, which is like okay.
Fine.
Like I like it better than the whole like where Batgirl and Robin.
That one, because that's the most sizable DLC content.
Yeah.
Because like that, my issue is that there's
Lacks
a bunch
polish.
of story ones, but they're all very short. Because I remember, I think as like a pre-order bonus, there was a Harley Quinn section and a Red Hood section, and both of those sections are like 5 to 10 minutes long. They're very short.
Yeah.
Where it feels like, oh, there's a pre-order bonus, and it's like it's really just like a very short thing. Like I think as Harley Quinn, it's kind of like a prequel to the game. And then with the Red Hood one, you kill Black Mask.
Yeah.
And then there was other ones they put out where there was one where you play as Robin, one where you play as Nightwing, one where you play as Catwoman. So they did add story missions, but those 3, once again, they're pretty short. And then there was the biggest one, which is where you play as Robin and Batgirl before she is paralyzed by the Joker, and in that one you fight against Joker and Harley Quinn.
Yeah. And it was just, it was unnecessary, and like there was already things that people were, and granted, I guess they didn't know that people were going to be as upset about the Batmobile as they were, that's the problem when you have nothing but success. Just like, we can't go wrong. We're going to do this, and they're going to love it. And to be honest, like the initial reactions to that whole tank sequence, like people were like, "This is cool," because like the way they unveiled it's like he was driving and then these things attacked him and he was like, "Let me switch," and then you see it transformed. Like that's actually kind of crazy, but then like it wound up being like a third of the game, and you're like, okay, this is ridiculous.
Way too much Batmobile. The other thing I didn't like with the DLC is that with the Predator and the combat challenges. Those were just included in all the past Arkham games. You didn't have to buy them, whereas when you bought Arkham Knight, none of the challenge maps or the combat missions came with it. You had to buy it as DLC, but the game also had a lot of cool skins. Like, I feel like that's one thing we didn't touch on, because all the Batman games have this, where they have alternate skins you can get. Like,
I mentioned that with like Arkham Asylum.
You can play as animated series Batman.
Yeah,
which
like
is kind of cool.
You get like when you do the extra, when you like complete it on a certain level, and you complete the extra like missions to like upgrade your gear or whatever, you can get you get that. Like I remember the first thing I got was like the all metal suit. And then you can get like the classic Batman, and then even in Arkham Knight, like the suits are cool because you get the Christian Bale Batman, you get the Michael Keaton Batman,
you get the Adam West Batman, the Batmobiles too.
You get there was a Batman Beyond Batman, like so there was a lot of like really cool suits.
Ben Affleck Batman is in the game too, and it's like all these Batmobiles, because like I feel like '89 Batmobile and even the classic Adam West Batmobile, it's like. That's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think you can play as some of those during the game, because I don't see how you could turn that classic Batmobile into a tank, but they have like race courses. So I think some of it is just relegated to being part of the optional stuff, but you can play as Adam West Batman throughout the main story campaign. So it's like you're doing all these dark things dressed as Adam West Batman.
Yeah, like it was unnecessary to make people pay for that. Like I was like, you could have made this unlockable,
but you wanted money.
And granted, maybe it was like, again, I don't know how all that works. I don't know how much it costs. It's probably very expensive, and those people work really hard and deserve to be paid. But like,
that's true. But it feels like I don't mind some of it being paid content, but to not have stuff that was offered in previous games and now you're selling it back to me piecemeal feels a little cheap. Yeah,
there was that game unfortunately fell into the whole just general business, the modern business model of gaming these days, and like it really hurt it. Unfortunately,
I think. I mean. Overall, with Arkham Knight, I like the game. Like, it's fun, but there's enough. Like, to me, it's like for Arkham Asylum, which has its problems, but I would say overall is a great game. Arkham City's like it. I would say it's like Arkham Asylum, great game. Arkham City, near perfect game. Arkham Origins, good game. Arkham Knight, like, I don't know if I would go as far as to say it's a great game. It's definitely better than Origins. I would say it's a very good game, but there are big things that hold it back. The over-reliance on the Batmobile, the messiness of the story, to me, like, kind of making the Predator maps a little easier, and just, I feel like the problem, maybe this is not so much a problem with Arkham Knight, because I think it was a problem with a lot of games at this time, was that you had a lot of companies seeing, like, oh, I can just sell you a season pass and we'll keep updating the game so it looks good on paper, because once you beat the game, like, we'll put more stuff out. But it just got to this point where you had, you know, microtransactions, all these different things in play, and I feel like this was at, like, the height of it. I feel like since then some companies have eased up a little bit on relying too much on DLC, like a little bit. I know it's still,
at the end of the day, like, DLC, I think, like, is what killed Arkham Knight more, like, aside from just, like, you know, the messy story and the Batmobile stuff. Like, that was just like an additional kick in the balls.
but it's like, I don't, because I did like the game, and I feel like the combat and stuff, it, obviously because it's the newest game, is better than Arkham Asylum, but I kind of feel like if I had to do, like, a power ranking of the games, Arkham Origins Blackgate is last. Then Arkham Origins. And I feel like I have to give a slight edge to Arkham Asylum. Like,
well, they invented the wheel in this one, so like, you gotta no,
so I think Arkham Knight is third for me, then Arkham Asylum and Arkham City.
It's just
number one.
It's just like any trilogy where, like, the first one's like, ooh, it's an instant classic, and then like, the second one is like, oh, this is a masterpiece, and the third one is like, yeah, you're not as good as the original. And it's like, it's really what it comes down to.
Really couldn't pull it together for the end, could you?
I mean, and the thing is, they tried to do too much, and to be fair, you do have that liberty in a video game to try to do as much as you can in the last installment, just because, like, it's not a movie, it's a video game, and you have like 20 hours to do whatever you want with it. But again, it's still got to work.
I guess I just feel like, you know, because it seemed like for a while there, especially Arkham Origins, it's like, is this going to be like Call of Duty now? Are we going to get one of these, like, all the time?
Well, that's what Assassin's...
yeah, like, we're Assassin's Creed, where it's like one... Well, I know that they've eased up a little bit recently, but I feel like overall, though, you know, we haven't... It's been almost 5 years now, and since Arkham Knight came out, there hasn't been any new ones. Like, I know that they remastered the first two for PS4 and Xbox One, and to be honest, like, I missed the series. Like, I would like another one, because I think my final word on Arkham is that, like, it was really a game changer, you know, for a genre of, like, you would think that making a superhero game would be super easy, but for the longest time, with the exception of Spider-Man 2, most superhero games were kind of hot garbage. And I feel like with that, it proved to people that, like, oh, we can make a good game out of this. And I think out of that sprung, like, Spider-Man and Shadow of Mordor, because, you know, with Spider-Man, I liked the game. I thought it was good, and there were certain things. I mean, this is obviously not about Spider-Man, so I won't get too far into it. Like, there are a few things I think it does a little better than Arkham, but at the same time, like, while I thought it's a good game, and I think it is a very good game, and it tells a good story, it does kind of pale in comparison to the Arkham games. It just doesn't have that same personality, and it's obvious that the game is a bit derivative of what Arkham does, which is fine. Like, I have no problem with that, because I think it's a good formula for a superhero game. So if it works, like, use it. Why not? And I think it definitely does enough, I think, that it doesn't just feel like a pale Arkham clone. But I was still playing this game, and, like, as I played through it, like, I enjoyed it, but in the back of my head, I was like, I wish they'd make another Batman game. It's been 5 years, and I know that it's basically every time like E3. Well, I mean, there's no E3 this year, but every time some kind of big video game event rolls around, it always makes the rounds of like, there's going to be another Batman game.
So I guess to kind of tie this off, what would be your ideal next Batman game from Rocksteady? Like what would you want the story to be? What would you want like the aspects to be?
I don't know, because I've heard that the biggest thing I've heard with a lot of these rumors, I'm assuming that it's true, is that the story is going to focus on the Court of Owls, which I like, because when they did the new 52, when they revamped the DC universe, like most of it sucked, but Batman was the best part about it. And they introduced the Court of Owls in that, and I like that as the background of the game because it gives you a villain that's not the Joker. But that being said, I would like it. I feel like it would be fun to maybe do a story set before Arkham Asylum, have the whole Bat family in it. Maybe that feels like a cop-out a little bit because Batman, is no more in the last game. But I feel like, to me, like when they were kicking around that idea of going into the future, having like Damian Wayne as Batman in the game, I don't like that idea. I kind of like I like that appeal of getting to play as Bruce Wayne. So I don't like, really, it's like I'm interested in seeing, because I think if there's one definite is that they're working on something. But that I think it's WB Montreal doing the game. I have no idea what Rockstar's doing at this point. Rocksteady, yeah.
Yeah.
We know but
yeah. So
I don't think Rocksteady, I feel like with Rocksteady, they're done with Batman.
Yeah.
But if they're working on another DC character, why not?
Yeah. I think...
What about you?
So, yeah, my ideal, and it's kind of going off of what you're saying, and you actually gave me a really good idea. And, like, I know it's not right. If I was to say, like, if Rocksteady's definitely doing it, like, yeah, ideally I would want Rocksteady to do it. But I would do the Bat Family storyline, but it takes place after Night.
Yeah.
And the whole thing is they're trying to pick up the slack. And so you're switching between them, and maybe you do some Catwoman stuff as well, so you can get a little, But yeah, you're being Nightwing, you're being Robin, and maybe like you're even being Damian.
Yeah.
And then like you even like maybe even some Red Hood stuff in there, and then like Red Hood, and then eventually you guys like rediscover Alfred, and like you were supposed to be dead.
Yeah.
And then he's like, something's gone wrong, and like, what are you talking about? It's like they've taken Bruce, and they're like, Bruce is dead. He's like, no, he's not. And it's the Court of Owls, and you're the Bat family trying to save him from that.
I like that because because I feel like when the mansion gets destroyed at the end of the game, you think it's Batman who did it. But what if it's the Court of Owls that did it beforehand?
Like either that, or maybe he was in hiding, but then they kidnapped him from even that. Like it's.
I like that.
Where he was trying to go in hiding, and they're like, we know you're alive.
Yeah.
And like they actually capture him, and then like even maybe you do find him and he's under mind control, so you have to fight Batman. Like that would be an interesting, I think.
I like it. I think it's interesting. Like I feel like I've heard a lot of things in the new game that they're aiming for it to be a reboot, I guess. I guess maybe the way some people would see it is that they like the finality of the last game, even though it kind of gives you a really bad cliffhanger. Like, I like your idea because while there's a finality to Arkham Knight, I didn't find it to be satisfying.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, when I saw Dark Knight Rises, like, and I have my own problems with that movie too, but I did like that there was a finality to it. And the story, I felt like, ended in it. Like, for all of the issues I have with that movie, the story ends in a satisfying way where it's like, okay, this is done. It's over.
Yeah.
Whereas with Arkham, it's like, I just feel like there's so much more that could be done. Like, one of the things I liked with Spider-Man is that in that game, like, you're going through Manhattan, there's people walking around the street.
Yeah.
And, like, I get it, like, with Batman, he operates at night. So there's not going to be as many people on the street, but I feel like a living, breathing Gotham would be fun as opposed to just, everybody's always gone for X and Y reason.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to have to try to do like and figure out some things as Bruce Wayne during the daytime. Like maybe you're finding out, like maybe you're thinking you're doing these generic board meetings or you're doing whatever else, but you're finding out that like wait, some of this stuff is connecting to some of the stuff you're doing at night, and maybe some of the people who work with you are not as clean as they seem that they are. Like that would be a really cool thing too.
Like those Telltale Batman games.
Yeah.
Where you play as much as Bruce Wayne as you play as Batman.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, that's really, I have to say, overall, like, I love this game series. Like, despite the gripes I had at Arkham Knight, I've still played through it twice.
Yeah, I've played.
Still had fun with it.
I always show it to people, like, whenever I go on, like, a tangent about it with somebody who's never played it, it's like, I'm going to show you something real quick.
Like, it's a good game. And, I like, overall, I like the series. And if I had one final word on it is that, you know, I know sometimes it's good to let franchises be dormant for a while, so I'm glad that they took a break.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm ready for another one.
Yeah,
I'd like another one.
I'm indifferent. Like if another one comes, I'll definitely be excited about it. If my main thing is I want Rocksteady to keep making games in general. I'm very scared that they're just not a thing anymore.
I feel like they are. Like I get that fear that you don't want them to close down.
Yeah.
Because I feel like with game studios, it's
often.
a very present fear.
Yeah.
Or games getting canceled or games getting developed for years and then just falling apart. Because really, like, Rocksteady has been working on something. Mm-hmm. And I feel like it's not Batman. Mm-hmm. And they've gone on record to say it's not Superman. Mm-hmm. So I wonder, it's like, what are they doing? It might not even be DC related.
And again, that's fine. Like, it seems like they know what they're doing and they understand how to treat whatever property they're using with a lot of respect. So, again, like to that point, like I'll probably like if like whatever they announce, like it's Rocksteady's next big game, I'm gonna look completely into that. Mm-hmm. And even if it's not even in the same style, like it might be something that I really enjoy. So, like I think that's what I'm most excited about. I'm interested in Monolith's next, the people who made Shadow of Mordor.
Yeah.
Like I want to know what their next project is. Like, I hope WB didn't do something stupid and, like, kick somebody to the curb, but...
I kind of get the impression that a lot of these games will probably show up on the next-gen systems. Mm-hmm. Like, maybe they were just working on stuff and they didn't really want it to come out now. Just because... And, I mean, it's weird because right now, I mean, we're dealing with the coronavirus and everything, but there's been a lot of games that have come out recently. I mean, Resident Evil 3 Remake came out. The new Doom game came out. Mm-hmm. The Final Fantasy 7 Remake came out. Like, a lot of these pretty big-ticket games. I think, you know, there's that Cyberpunk game coming out in a couple months.
Yeah.
I know that they delayed it indefinitely, but, like, The Last of Us Part 2. Mm-hmm. So, it's weird where it's like you want to continue a franchise, but if it's the very end of a console cycle... Yeah, you know, maybe you'd want your newest game, especially if Batman's going to come back. Mm-hmm. Maybe it would make more sense for it to be on a new system. Because that was the other thing I noticed with Origins too, is that Arkham Origins came out right before PS4 and Xbox One released. Mm-hmm. Like literally like a month beforehand that game came out. And I guess it was kind of cool because Arkham Knight was like the first next-gen Batman game that was on Xbox One, PS4, but maybe that one also kind of got lost in the shuffle because it was released at the very end of like the PS3 and Xbox 360's lifespan.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Yeah.
All right. Well, yeah, I guess that's kind of all I have to say about this.
I feel like we've said all we've needed to say about Arkham. Yeah. Maybe we'll do another movie or video game series next time.
Yeah, all right. See you guys later.
Yep.